lawyer once laughed at a decorated soldier's medals inside a courtroom. 3 hours later, he didn't have a career left. Captain Maya Vance had spent 11 years serving her country. Special operations, 3 deployments. Missions so classified that most people in that courtroom would never be allowed to know what she actually did. But none of that mattered to the lawyer standing across from her, because all he saw was a woman in a uniform he wanted to make look small. This is the story of what happened when he tried. Maya walked into that civilian courtroom on a Tuesday morning wearing her full dress uniform. Every ribbon, every medal, every badge placed exactly where it was supposed to be. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was there because she had been falsely accused. Someone had filed fabricated financial charges against her, claiming she had misused government funds during her last deployment. The case had been building for 8 months. 8 months of her name being dragged through the mud while she kept her head down and waited for the truth to come out. The lawyer on the other side was named Gerald Harmon. 17 years of practice, known in legal circles for being aggressive, theatrical, and very good at making witnesses look foolish in front of a jury. He had won cases by breaking people down on the stand. He was that kind of lawyer, the kind who treated the courtroom like a performance stage. When Maya walked in, he looked at her the way some people look at a prop. The trial started normally enough. Opening statements, procedural motions, the usual back and forth. But when it was time for Harmon to cross-examine Maya, something shifted in the room. He stood up slowly, buttoned his jacket, and walked toward her like he already knew how this was going to go. He started by questioning her credibility. Standard stuff. Then he moved to her service record, which he clearly hadn't researched very well, because he started getting basic facts wrong. When Maya corrected him calmly, precisely, he didn't like that. You could see it on his face. He wasn't used to witnesses pushing back, so he changed tactics. He pointed directly at the medals on her chest and said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, that her decorations were meaningless in a civilian court, that they were just pieces of metal, that wearing them was a theatrical move to gain sympathy from the jury, and that the court shouldn't be impressed by a costume. The room went very quiet. Seconds. He couldn't find it, because it didn't exist the way he said it did. The actual report, which the prosecution had partially misread and partially misrepresented, showed anomalies in the accounting that had already been reviewed and cleared by a military oversight committee 4 months before the trial even started. The charges were built on paperwork that had already been explained and dismissed within the military system. Harmon had either not read the full file or he had read it and hoped nobody else would. The judge had read it. She issued a directed verdict in favor of Captain Vance before the case even went to the jury. That means she looked at everything presented and decided there was no legitimate legal basis to continue. The evidence simply didn't support the charges. Maya was cleared completely on the spot. But the story doesn't end there. After the verdict, Judge Holt filed a formal complaint with the State Bar Association against Gerald Harmon, not because he lost the case. Lawyers lose cases all the time. She filed it because of the conduct, specifically the deliberate attempt to discredit a witness through mockery and misrepresentation of evidence. The Bar Association reviewed the complaint and found that Harmon had, in fact, presented that report in a way that was misleading. He received a formal sanction, which in legal terms means a permanent mark on his professional record. Several of his existing clients dropped him after the story got out. His firm quietly reassigned his caseload. Within 6 months, he had left the firm entirely. And Maya? She went back to work. She said in an interview afterward that she hadn't gone into that courtroom to prove anything about herself. She went in because the truth was on her side and she trusted that it would come out. She said the hardest part of the whole experience wasn't the lawyer. It was the 8 months of waiting, doing her job every day while knowing that somewhere paperwork existed that was trying to erase everything she had built. She said the uniform wasn't a costume. It was the physical record of every choice she had made, every risk she had taken, every moment she had decided that something was worth more than her own comfort or safety. She didn't wear it to court to impress anyone. She wore it because it was hers. There's a lesson buried in this story that has nothing to do with the military or the courtroom. It's about what happens when someone underestimates a person so completely that they stop doing the actual work. Harmon didn't lose because he was unlucky. He lost because he walked in assuming he already knew everything he needed to know about who Maya Vance was, and that assumption made him lazy. He didn't read the full file. He didn't prepare for pushback. He picked a strategy based on making someone look small instead of actually building a case. And the person he picked was someone who had spent 11 years being tested in situations he couldn't even imagine. People who mock others to win arguments are almost always doing it because their actual argument is weak. The louder someone performs confidence in a room, the more likely it is they're hiding a gap somewhere. Real strength, the kind Maya had, doesn't need to perform. It just needs to show up. She showed up. He performed. The judge noticed the difference. If this story hit different, the next one on screen right now is going to do the same thing. Don't skip it.